Ayan. So the recording has started. Let us also start now. Again, let me know if the slide will not move. Kay merong ganyang problem ang Google Meet sometimes. But let us continue with our discussion on pharmacokinetic compartments. Specifically, let's talk first about wait lang. Hindi pala pharmacokinetic parameter pa yung iniisip ko. Anyway, pharmacokinetic compartment. So when you say pharmacokinetic compartment, this is just a mathematical model or a hypothetical one representing the part of the body where we expect the drug na ma-distribute. Okay? So again, it's just hypothetical. So like we are referring to a tissue, a group of tissues, or an organ, or organs with the same type of tissues. Ganun yun siya. We usually call that compartment. So we are studying that one, of course, to predict number one, hanggang saan naabot yung ating drug after absorption. Siyempre, di ba, after like distribution. And then the time also, the time course of the drug in the body after absorption. Okay? But anyway, this is not again a specific part of the body, but just a concept representing tissues or organs in the body where we expect the drug to appear or occupy. Now, this compartment model that we have in pharmacokinetics is dependent on the distribution characteristics of our drug after administration. Now, when I say distribution characteristics, that includes the physicochemical property of the drug itself, and at the same time, the factors influencing the distribution of the drug after administration and absorption. Okay? And itong distribution ng ating drug, if we don't have like problems or we don't have a lot of concerns or factors na mag-influence niyan, actually the rate of transfer of the drug from the blood after absorption to the other parts of the body, tissues or organs, and then, diba, na-distribute na sila sa tissues and organs, pwede kasi silang redistribute back to the blood. And the rate usually is equal, okay, after absorption or after administration. However, if that rate is slower ang distribution ng drug, that's the time we'll have more compartments, okay? We will have greater number of compartments. So if we're going to read the book, especially Shargel, kasi yan yung usually ginagamit natin, ito yung nakikita natin sa book, the one compartment, two compartment, and we even have multi-compartment model. For one compartment model, we treat the body as like one compartment, one entity, wherein after administration and absorption, the drug will be evenly distributed all over the body. Okay? So homogeneous yung distribution. All of the tissues in the body will have even like amount or concentration of the drug being administered. Okay? Thus, when the drug is administered and absorbed, rapidly ma-distribute na siya agad. So that will happen fast. And after that, after the distribution, syempre the drug will be eliminated. However, for two-compartment model, we have the so-called central compartment and peripheral compartment. So usually, we treat the blood as the central compartment, and then syempre the blood is responsible for distribution. When it distributes the drug, it will syempre be distributed to tissues and organs in the body, and those organs or tissues will be called peripheral or a peripheral compartment. Okay, now the distribution is slower compared to the one compartment model, because again, I mentioned a while ago na in the one compartment model, after administration, readily and rapidly ma-distribute na kaagad yung drug. This time, meron pa munang peripheral compartment, mapupunta doon ang drug, and then it will be redistributed back to the central compartment before tayo magkaroon ng state of equilibrium, and then, hindi ko magkaroon ng slide, sorry. Sige, ganituhin ko na lang, hindi ko na siya palakihin. Okay, again, and then that's the time we get to have the state of equilibrium before the drug is eliminated from the body. Okay, now I have mentioned also a while ago, the slower the distribution of the drug, the more or the greater number of compartments na magkakaroon tayo for a drug being administered. Thus, we have the so-called multi-compartment model also. So the drug from the blood will be distributed to a lot of peripheral compartment first before we achieve a state of equilibrium and before the drug is being redistributed to the central compartment before elimination. Okay, so that is again multi-compartment model. Now, hindi lahat ng drugs nagfa-follow ng compartment model. Thus, in the book, we can also read a so-called non-compartment models for a certain drug. Okay? Now, kailan ito siya nangyayari? Number one, if the clearance of the drug is not dependent to a specific organ. Okay? Hindi siya dependent sa isang organ lang, like sa liver lang talaga siya, or sa blood, or sa other parts sa body. And then number two, which is also important, wala tayong compartment model if the elimination of the drug does not occur in the central compartment. Na-mention ko kanina, from the blood, madidistribute ang drug to the other organ, and then maridistribute siya balik to the blood, and then elimination will follow. If hindi ganun ang pathway ng ating drug, hindi nag-occur yung elimination in the central compartment, then we will not be having any compartment model na susundin. So again, that is called non-compartmental model or non-compartmental pharmacokinetic na analysis. Now, etong non-compartmental pharmacokinetic analysis, since hindi siya dependent on a specific organ or a central compartment, then we usually do, or pharmacokineticists do, analysis based on the total drug exposure. So, paano nila malalaman yung total drug exposure? They usually measure, or they depend on the AUC, or the area under the curve. So when you say area under the curve, ito yung total amount of drug na nakaabot sa bloodstream or sa systemic circulation following administration. And we usually do the trapezoidal rule, or we follow the trapezoidal rule as a method kung paano nila ginagawa yung AUC na yan. Okay? So yung mga susunod na slides are just visual presentations or illustrations para ma-present sa atin yung different compartment models that we have. So isang background noise. Okay, so on the left upper side, we have the illustration for a one compartment model wherein after the dose is being administered and absorbed, it will be distributed evenly in one compartment only. And after the distribution, we have the K10 there, and that represents the elimination rate constant of the drug. So after administration, absorption, and distribution, elimination will follow. However, that is not true for a two-compartment model. So for a two-compartment model, we have here the dose of the drug being administered. Meron siyempreng absorption na mangyayari, and the drug will enter the central compartment. Now, after the drug has entered the central compartment, it will be distributed to the peripheral compartment. That is the number 2 here, the box na color blue. And we usually measure the rate of distribution. It is represented by K12, meaning the rate of the distribution of drug from the central to the peripheral compartment. However, there will be redistribution from the peripheral compartment. The drug will be redistributed to the central compartment. Okay, thus we have the K21 also. So we have a lot of things to measure if dumadami yung ating compartment. Okay, and then ito yung sinasabing pag may compartment model tayo, the elimination of the drug will be dependent or will occur sa central compartment. That is why we have here the K10. After the redistribution, kung ma-achieve na natin yung equilibrium, pantay na yung amount of drugs from the central and the peripheral compartment, elimination will follow. But it will occur sa central compartment. Itong 3-compartment model, under na ito sa multi-compartment na model natin, meaning nito, slower na ang distribution ng drug. Maraming groups of tissues or organs na magte-take time pa na ang drug ma-distribute doon sa mga areas na yon. So we still have here the central compartment, but we have a lot of peripheral compartment for this one. And thus, marami din tayong i-measure na rate of distribution. However, what is similar to the 2-compartment model is the drug will be redistributed back to the central compartment where elimination will take place. Thus, you can always see the K10 on the central compartment. Okay, so that is the similarity and differences of the 3-compartment models. Okay, so na-mention ko ito kanina, itong compartment model selection is actually dependent on the drug itself, especially on its physicochemical property, kung yung yung kanyang properties that will dictate kung gaano siya kabilis ma-absorb and ma-distribute and gaano siya kabilis makapenetrate sa mga tissues. Okay? Aside from that, yung pag-measure nila ng mga things na kailangan i-measure for the compartment models nakadepende din sa frequency ng pagkuha ng plasma. So, if you can still remember, matagal na tayong hindi nag-meet, no? Pero I have mentioned pharmacokineticists usually do 15 na blood extractions before they get to have the most appropriate na like an area under the curve or yung kanilang graph na ginagawa to check the concentration of the drug in the bloodstream. So, kung mas madami, mas magiging accurate yung magiging result nila. And thus, magiging accurate din yung compartment model na gagamitin for a certain drug. And at the same time, sensitivity also of the procedure sa laboratory na ginagawa to check the amount or the concentration of drug in the plasma. So, as I said, the succeeding slides are just visual presentations or visual representations of the different compartment models. So just like this one, we have here for the 1-compartment model, you have a vessel with 1 liter na solution, for example, and then dadagdagan siya ng drug. So the dose of the drug is 1 gram. Since this is 1-compartment model, immediately there is the even distribution of the drug all throughout the compartment. Okay, so we expect here na the drug is like the same yung concentration for the 1 compartment, that's 1 gram per liter na. However, on the right side, we have here the 2-compartment model wherein the drug will be absorbed and will go to the central compartment first before it will be distributed to the peripheral compartment, and then there will be redistribution after, and then makukuha natin yung state of equilibrium. When we say state of equilibrium, as you can see, both the central and the peripheral compartment will have the drug na, and then after that, elimination will follow. So ito naman, this is just another visual presentation on the one compartment and two compartment models. So sa one compartment model again, if this is the body and then we administer a drug, right after administration, the drug will be distributed all throughout the body. There will be no barriers, homogeneous yung distribution of the drug. Okay? Now, kung sa two-compartment model, we can see na after administration, the drug first will be distributed to different compartments, okay? Itong mga organs nito na ito are considered peripheral compartment, and then mag-redistribute siya sa blood, and then dito na natin makikita yung state of equilibrium if yung lahat ng tissues and organs of the body will have the drug. Okay? So slowly ito kasi dadaan pa siya sa different organs before we get the homogeneous distribution of the drug all throughout the body. Okay? So, ano ito? Sa compartment model, ang tinitingnan, the absorption of the drug, at the same time, the distribution and the elimination of the drug. For a one compartment model, after the dose is being administered, itong drug will be distributed to the body. Thus, we have the volume of distribution, and then after that, elimination na. So, ang kinocompute na natin dyan, yung K, which is the elimination rate constant, and then we also have the V, the volume of distribution. But for the two-compartment models, marami tayong kinocompute, the dose of the drug being administered, and then we have the volume of distribution for the central compartment, and then we also have rate of distribution from the central to the peripheral and vice versa. And then we also have another volume of distribution for the peripheral compartment. Okay? And then, just like the one compartment model, we also have elimination rate constant for this one, but the elimination will also happen sa central compartment. Okay? So yan yung mga representations natin sa ating mga compartment models. Actually, this is also the same. Paulit-ulit lang siya. Different lang na visual presentations. Yung tandaan lang natin, the slower the distribution, that means we have more number of compartments. And then for drugs that follow compartment models, whether it is 2 or 3, the elimination will always take place in the central compartment. Okay, there will just be redistribution of the drug from the peripheral to the central compartment. Okay, now sa graph na makikita natin after the extraction of the blood and then i-check yung concentration, ganito yung magiging graph niya. For one compartment model, in the graph that is represented by the solid line. So as you can see, after absorption, tuloy-tuloy na yung magiging elimination, and that happens in a constant rate. Okay, however, that is not true for a two-compartment model because remember, there is the redistribution of the drug first that is represented by a steep na pagbaba ng drug, meaning niya na-distribute muna yung drug before you get to have the constant elimination na. Okay? Yan yung makikita natin. This is actually a drug na given via IV bolus administration. Okay? Yung sa right side, that is just yung gamit yung ating semi-log paper. Okay? Anyway, you can see that one here on the left side, instant and at the same time, constant yung pag-eliminate pag one compartment model. Okay? So we need that one, especially pag mag-discuss na tayo ng first order and the zero order kinetics. Okay? Any question for our compartment models? Again, I have already uploaded the the PPT for your reference. Pag hindi masundan, we'll discuss now the other pharmacokinetic parameters. We have here the loading dose and the priming dose. So kasali ito sa ating exam ha, kasi meron itong like computation. Pero carry lang naman. Let's just be familiar with the formula and we can easily compute for the loading dose or the priming dose of the drug. So, syempre, when you say loading dose or priming dose, this is our initial or our first dose. Now, our goal here, why we do loading dose, is to quickly or rapidly achieve our target concentration. So, usually our target concentration is what we call the steady state concentration. So, gusto natin ma-achieve natin kaagad yung dose or yung concentration ng drug na magkakaroon talaga ng effect sa body. Okay? So usually, loading dose or loading dose is given for a drug na merong long half-life, long elimination half-life. Kasi pag nag-load ka niyan, syempre matagal pa siyang ma-excrete, ma-achieve mo kaagad yung steady state concentration mo. So drugs like digoxin, teicoplanin, and amiodarone, ginagawa natin ito. Naglo-load tayo. Paano natin siya i-compute? Ano yung mga things na we need para ma-compute natin yung loading dose natin? Siyempre, number one, we have to know ano ba yung ating target concentration or our steady state concentration. And at the same time, we need to also know the route of administration. Okay? Again, we need that one also, the route of administration, kasi we need to know yung ating amount of drug that will reach the bloodstream. We call that bioavailability. Okay? And then at the same time, we need the concentration of the drug present if there is previous administration. Pag wala namang previous administration, okay lang din na wala ito. And this also requires na alam natin yung ating volume of distribution and the correction factor. So for the correction factors, we have the F and the S. The F there is the bioavailability factor or the bioavailability fraction. Okay? Ito yung amount or the fraction of the dose of the drug na in-administer and naka-reach or umabot sa blood or sa bloodstream. And then the S is the salt correction na factor. Okay? Usually, pag hindi siya binibigay, this is equal to 1. Now, we will go back to our basic computation kasi the formula is just derived from the volume of distribution na formula, which is the dose of the drug divided by the concentration at 0 time. Now, if you want to compute for the volume of distribution ng hindi talaga nabigay yung exact dose or concentration, meron pang ibang other things that influences the volume, pwede natin gawin ito. Volume is equal to the D is still the dose, times the F, again, that's the bioavailability fraction or factor, and then the salt correction factor, divided by the concentration na target natin is our CSS, the steady state concentration, minus the initial concentration of the drug in the plasma. However, since we are talking about the loading dose or the priming dose, we are going to derive the formula. So pag-derive natin ngayon ng formula, ma-rearrange na, ito na yung magiging formula na gagamitin natin. The dose of the drug is equal to the concentration, the target concentration or the steady state concentration minus, if available, the concentration, initial concentration of the drug in the body. If merong hindi siya initiation of treatment, merong in-administer na concentration. Pero usually this is 0 kasi syempre, this is loading dose. Wala pa talaga usually drug sa body nun. So, usually ito ay 0. And then, i-multiply natin ito sa volume of distribution. Now, nabigay ko ito sa inyo last time. Minsan yung volume of distribution na binibigay is apparent, meaning it's the volume over the kilogram Okay? So, i-multiply muna natin siya sa weight ng patient natin before natin magamit yung volume of distribution talaga. And then, i-divide natin ito sa mga correction factors, the F and the S. Okay? So, ito, example lang ito, amount of drug absorbed or reaching, or ito yung drug na nakaabot sa systemic circulation. We have here aminophylline, and the dose administered was 200 milligrams. Tapos, merong salt correction factor kasi si aminophylline kasi 80% of the drug is actually the theophylline and then the 20% is the ethylene diamine. So, ang salt correction factor niyan is 0.8. Yan yung 80% lang yung salt talaga. Okay, so S niyan ay 0.8. And since this is administered IV, ang F niyan ay 1. Okay, so kung i-multiply natin yan, we will get the amount of drug na umabot sa bloodstream. So we have here 0.8 times 1 times the 200. Ang answer niyan is 160. So for a 200 milligram aminophylline na drug na in-administer, 160 lang doon yung aabot sa bloodstream. Okay? Pero, let me give you an example talaga sa loading dose ha, kasi hindi yung loading dose kanina. Ito yung example natin. A patient comes into the emergency room with a severe infection and requires immediate therapy with an antibiotic. So the patient weighs 70 kilograms. Yung volume of distribution of that certain antibiotic is 1.429 liter per kilogram, and yung bioavailability is 0.5. So hindi ito binigay or binibigay orally. And then meron tayo ditong target concentration. That's the desired steady state concentration, and that is 10 microgram per ml. Now the question is, what would be the appropriate oral loading dose for the antibiotic? So again, we just have to be familiar with our formula. Dose is equal to the steady state concentration or the target concentration minus the, yung C measured, yun yung initial concentration of the drug in the body, times the volume of distribution divided by the correction factors, the F times the S. So, atin lang siyang i-substitute yung mga given here. D is equal to, our target concentration is this one, the 10 microgram per ml. And then, yung C measured, wala tayo ha, because we are just initiating the treatment. Therefore, 0. 0 kaagad siya. So, hindi ko na nilagay dito yung 10 minus 0. Ganon. Diretso na times volume of distribution. Again, this is the apparent volume of distribution here. So we need to get rid of the kilogram first. We really need to have the exact volume of distribution by multiplying it to the weight of the patient. Okay? Now, wait. Ayan. Okay, multiply natin sa weight ng patient. That's 70 kilogram. Ayusin ko lang. Okay, divided by the F here, we have here the bioavailability of the drug, that is 0.5. If taken orally, only 50% will reach the bloodstream. Okay, wala na tayong S, wala din namang binigay na S, automatically that will become 1. Okay? To clarify lang, this has been converted already kasi yung given natin 1.429 liter per kilogram. To easily cancel the units, na ano na siya, na-convert na siya into ml per kilogram para makancel na kaagad yung ml here and then makancel ang kilogram, we will be left with this 1 microgram. So if multiplied silang lahat, this will be 1,300,000 microgram, and then i-divide natin sa 0.5. And to clarify also, before dividing, kinonvert na siya into grams. Kasi sa choices, walang binigay na microgram. It's either milligram or grams lang. So, kinonvert into gram directly ito. Actually, nag-ground off na nga, hindi na nakasali yung 300 dyan. Ginawa lang talaga siyang 1 gram divided by the 0.5. So, our loading dose for this kind of antibiotic is 2 grams. Okay? That's how we compute for the loading or the priming dose. Okay, do you have questions or verifications? Masyadong mainit yung aking laptop. Wala? Okay. If wala na, let's move on. I have here another example. We have here a 7-year-old girl weighing 31 kilogram appears in the emergency room suffering from asthma. So we have here the decision is made to initiate the treatment with theophylline. We have here the steady state concentration, that's 15 micrograms per ml. And the apparent volume of distribution is 0.5 liter per kilogram. We also have here the oral bioavailability, which is 0.6. However, the question is, which of the following would be the most appropriate intravenous loading dose? So loading dose and then intravenous. So let's use the given to compute the loading dose of the drug. We have our target, our steady state concentration, 15 micrograms per ml. However, yung solution sa screen, na-convert na siya para easily makuha na natin kasi yung choices is naka-milligram. Tapos ang given dito, microgram. But anyway, 15 microgram per ml. Ano ba nangyari sa... Yung mask may problema. 15 micrograms per ml is equal to 15 milligrams per liter. Okay? So ito yun siya. Na-convert na yan. And then, yung ating volume of distribution na binigay, this is apparent ha. So 0.5 liters per kilogram. We need to multiply it sa weight ng patient. So that's 31 kilograms. And kung napansin ninyo, nawala na yung divided by F times S. That's number 1. The question is intravenous loading dose. So we will not be using this one, the given bioavailability, because this is for oral administration. The question is intravenous. So pag intravenous, that is 1. 1 yung ating bioavailability. And then yung S, hindi din naman given, that is also 1. Kaya hindi na siya na-type dito, hindi na siya nakalagay. Baka lang magtaka kayo kasi this is just 1 times 1 lang naman. Okay, the bioavailability is 1. The salt correction factor is also 1. So, madali lang, i-multiply na lang natin diretso. 15 times 0.5 times 31. Let's cancel the unit. Liters will be canceled as well as the kilogram. Ang maiiwan is milligram. So, the answer here, our loading dose for theophylline is 232.5 milligrams. So, yan yon. Kaya yan. Alam lang dapat familiar lang tayo with our formula. Okay, we'll have this one sa ating exam. And then lastly, I have here for the dosing interval. Okay, pero parehas lang naman yung ating goal to achieve the steady state concentration. We do loading dose and at the same time, there are drugs na meron tayong sinusunod na dosage regimen. So we need to know when we are going to administer the next dose for that certain drug. So what do we need here for the dosing interval? Ganun pa rin, we still need the bioavailable fraction That's the amount of drug that reaches the systemic circulation. Usually, the value for F is between 0 to 1. 0 if wala talagang umabot sa bloodstream, kahit nag-administer ka ng drug, walang na-absorb. And then 1 if 100% na umabot talaga yung drug sa bloodstream, just like in the case of intravenous administration. Okay? And then we also need the S here, that's the salt correction factor, times the dose of the drug, divided by this time, we need the clearance. So for dosing interval, we don't usually use here the volume of distribution. Instead, what we need is the clearance. And then i-multiply natin siya sa steady state concentration. So itong F na ito, paano ba nila ito na-compute? Kasi pag intravenous, diretso tayo sa 1. Pag F, balik tayo doon sa AUC. This is the formula for us to get the F, the bioavailable fraction. F is equal to the AUC of the oral administration divided by the AUC of the IV administration multiplied to the dose of the IV administration of that certain drug divided by the oral dose. Okay, so yan yung pag-compute ng F. Pero sa mga problems natin ngayon, ibibigay ko naman yung F. So just like this example, bakit nabaliktad? Pharmacokinetic parameters. Okay, so ito yun. Example, we would like to give orally 500 milligram tablet to a patient suffering from arthritis at what intervals that the patients should take a dose. Okay. So ito yung given, yung bioavailable fraction is 0.7. The salt correction factor is 1. And then we have here our desired concentration, 10 milligrams per liter. And the clearance is also given 6 liter per hour. All we need to do is to substitute. Hindi ko na nilagyan ng unit ha, but we can easily cancel the units naman. Si F, wala talaga siyang unit, 0.7, as well as the S, that's 1. Itong 500, this is the dose of the drug. We have here 500 milligrams. Divided by, the clearance is 6 liters per hour, and then our desired concentration, steady state concentration is 10 milligrams per liter. So if we're going to do the math, we will get 5.8 and we approximate that as 6 hours. So for this patient, if we give the 500 milligram tablet for arthritis, we will be giving the second dose after 6 hours. So that will be the dosing interval. Okay? So almost related yung ating, almost similar, I mean, yung ating formula for the dosing interval as well as the loading dose. Yung pinagkaiba lang, we need the volume of distribution for our priming or loading dose, while we need the clearance for the dosing interval. This is actually the end of this slide. Any question or clarification for this topic? You may send your questions sa chat box. I have already posted the material under sa week 8 na topic. And then, itong recording kasi, later pa ito siya masisend sa email ko. So, later ko din siya masisend sa inyo. But anyway, the PPT has been posted already. And then, doon sa application, problem solving lang yun siya. Yes, sir? Parang nag-overheat yung aking laptop, but siya may tunog. Then, I have a problem with my mouse. Yes. Wow. Nawala. Ayan. Yeah. Usually, given yung salt correction factor, so like sa exams natin, I'll be giving the salt correction factor, but if ever hindi siya given, that is automatically 1. Okay, automatically 1 for the salt correction factor. So, can use the one pag hindi siya nabigay. Anything else? So, as promised, ano lang yun siya ha, basic computation. Basic pa yun siya. Basic computation lang muna tayo sa pharmacokinetics. Yeah, okay lang. Okay lang. Picturean ang answer. No problem. And then, I did not set a deadline ha, so you can do that if in your free time. Okay lang. Wala problem. Anything else? Wala na? So you may start doing the activity. Hindi ko pa yun siya na-complete, part 1 pa lang yun. Yeah, pero I will be exploring that pa kasi I was not able to join the orientation for the Coursera. Pero nakita ko kasi yung pharmacokinetics doon. Hindi nga lang siya naka-highlight. Let me clarify that one first kasi hindi siya naka-highlight kung need ba talaga siya or hindi. Pero ano, may message si Ma'am Paula sa akin last time na about sa Coursera. I need to explore that one and then I'll update you about sa dapat kung meron bang kailangan i-accomplish sa Coursera. For the meantime, yung mga posted ko muna na activities, part 1 pa lang yung naka-post for today kasi dalawang problem pa lang yun. Try it first and then isunod ko yung iba. Okay? Anything else? That will be the end of our discussion. Ha? The remaining time, you use that for the activity or if meron pa kayo